So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Dan Mitchell Correctly Predicts the Final Division Standings of each and every single division in the NFL. That is right. Today we are going to be tackling the NFC North. So buckle on in, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. So close to 30,000 subs. That is my goal within the next couple of weeks. I know that we can do it. By the way, this video is powered by BetUS, folks. This is the #1 sportsbook on the face of the planet. And guess what? They already have all of the Week 1 lines on the website right now, including division predictions, including player props. You name it, it's all over on BetUS. And they're not giving you some cutesy little promo. They are giving you the best promo on market today. So for all of you sports gamblers that want to take advantage of this, get this. They are matching 125% of not one, not two, but all three of your first deposits, all the way up to $2,000. So say, for example, you were to put down 100, then boom, you have an additional $125 to play with. And that's the case for your following two deposits. It is an incredible promo, and you can take advantage of that with the link in my description. Don't miss out on this. Highly recommend to check it out. So the NFC North, folks, I think people aren't talking enough about how competitive this division is truly about to be. With Caleb Williams being drafted, same thing with Jordan Love, who many are predicting might be in the MVP conversation. The Lions obviously ended up getting better. Saw a lot of returning players beefed up their secondary. There's a world where three teams end up representing the NFC North in the playoffs this year, and I'm so excited to start unpacking this. But starting off, and the one contributor that I see not really bringing much to the table has to be the Minnesota Vikings. And look, I know all of Minnesota is excited that they locked down the best receiver in the league with Justin Jefferson, obviously have Addison back into the mix. Just welcomed Aaron Jones for the run game, and we started seeing some glimmers of hope the second that J.J. McCarthy was out there preseason week 1. But unfortunately, after some reported knee soreness, that eventually turned into, uh-oh, you're out for the season. So now what they need to do, they need to start Sam Darnold behind center going into it. And listen, I am a sucker for feel-good stories. I saw the Geno Smith comeback. I saw the Baker Mayfield comeback last year, but I'm afraid that everyone's going to think that that is a pattern. The second that a QB has another starting opportunity, they're going to mimic seasons like that. As much as I respect Kevin O'Connell, let's be completely honest with ourselves here. Sam Darnold is not going to get it done for this team. I could see him playing it safe with the ball, winning a couple of games here and there, but that is ultimately going to be the Achilles heel for this squad. And so losing out on Hunter for the Minnesota Vikings was certainly not ideal. Defense, a lot of questions. Thank God, though, that they do have Brian Flores, some pretty solid draft picks. Defense is going to be stingy, but how exhausted are they going to be when Sam Darnold is out there having a difficult time operating this offense? Don't get me wrong. A lot of people are going to say all he needs to do is just hit Justin Jefferson on some short passes, let him do the rest of the work. But I just don't see Sam Darnold automatically becoming a top 5, top 10 quarterback with this Minnesota Vikings team and helping them be able to compete, because that's exactly what they need him to be if the Vikings have any dream of winning the NFC North and potentially making the playoffs. Next year, I'm a hell of a lot more high on them. And so as long as they end up hitting on the draft, be huge playmakers in free agency, but 5-12, last place is the Minnesota Vikings. Now, next up, I have the Green Bay Packers in third place, and I know a lot of people are going to absolutely freak out. They're like, Dan, what are you talking about? Everyone was counting us out last year. Are you going to make that same mistake again? And while they're third place, folks, I still have them 10 wins and 7 losses being in the playoffs. The 7 seed is typically where I have them right now. I'm very high on Jordan Love. Last year, what he was able to do with Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, you name it, a bunch of no-name wide receivers. And don't lie to me. If you are not a Green Bay Packers fan, not a single one of you would have known who Dontavian Wicks was. We thought that this was going to be a reset year for the Green Bay Packers after Aaron Rodgers ended up leaving, but boom, they went on a run when it mattered most. They won a playoff game while beating the Dallas Cowboys, and Jordan Love is now the highest paid quarterback in the league because of it. Still some solid pieces on defense. I think LaFleur is one of the best head coaches in the league by itself, but I think the vast majority of their losses going into this is unfortunately going to be against the NFC North. That is included with the Detroit Lions and then also with the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, I have the Green Bay Packers collecting 4 losses directly from those 2 opponents this year. As long as they stay hot in the playoffs, they could make a run. Wouldn't be the first time that a 7 seed ended up making an absolute steamroll right to the final game of the season. Still very high on Jordan Love. I see him being in the MVP conversation. However, that's where I have the Packers. Next up, I have the Detroit Lions sitting at 11-6. And listen, last year, I was the one that ended up predicting that the Detroit Lions would win the NFC North and make it as far as the NFC Championship. Check the receipts if you do not believe me. But such a heartbreaker, man. So they had a healthy lead against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship. They were this close to the damn Super Bowl. And a lot of the reason why this happened had to do with the fact that their secondary completely ended up laying an egg. Well, I'll tell you what happened during this offseason. They finally addressed that. They hammered down on it, as a matter of fact. It was their main focus. So I have to give a shout out to the front office for really being able to identify that and locking down that secondary. With Carlton Davis, who is a lockdown corner in this league, Terrion Arnold, who has just ended up drafted. Now, obviously, we know that Aiden Hutchinson is going to continue to develop. I could see him finishing top 3 in a lot of edge rusher statistics. This defense was the heavy focus this offseason, and I think this is one of the most complete teams you can find right now. Jared Goff, as long as he stays healthy, same thing with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is, I would say, going to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. Jahmyr Gibbs, who is set for a massive second-year step. Now, this Lions team is about to make some noise once they get into the playoffs, but they will be a wild card team. Last but not least, the Chicago Bears. And I can already imagine what the comments are going to be looking like right now. They're going to be like, oh, Dan, you really think the quarterback that paints his nails is going to win? Give me a break. Here's the thing. I have come up with this thing. I think that everyone that hates on Caleb Williams suffers from Caleb Williams derangement syndrome. I think that as far as his personality is concerned, it is a very tough pill to swallow. A lot of people think he's cocky. A lot of people are comparing him to Baker. A lot of people are comparing him to Johnny Manziel. And I think that it's unfair, to be completely honest with you. Even if it were true in some sense, this kid can absolutely play football. In my opinion, I thought that he was the most impressive out of each and every single rookie in the preseason. Yes, over Bo Nix. Because number one, out of all of Caleb Williams' opportunities, he ended up doing what he was doing against these first-team defenses during the preseason. He looks so comfortable in the pocket. He looks comfortable rolling out. His accuracy is on full display. If you were able to just take a peek at that dime that he ended up throwing to Cole Kmet during the Bills and then also to Rome Odunze during his second preseason portion. This team is behind him, and to be completely honest with you, I can't think of a better welcome to the NFL supporting cast than Caleb Williams has this year in 2024. The Bears really started making some investments. Bringing Keenan Allen, I understand he has injury issues. Let's hope that he can stay healthy this year. He's going to be a menace out of the slot. DJ Moore, no one's sleeping on this guy. At least I certainly suggest you shouldn't. He catches absolutely everything, and he had over 1,000 yards with Justin Fields last year. And then Rome Odunze, who was obviously picked in the top 10. So this is arguably one of the best wide receiver trios in all of the NFL, and I almost guarantee you by the time the season wraps up, we are going to be saying that it is bar none. So on top of that, a much improved offensive line, but even if there were some holes here and there, Caleb has been able to show that he can roll outside of the pocket, extend plays, he's athletic enough, he's smart with the football. I think he's about to be dangerous. Run game is heavily slept on by itself as well, so this offense is about to be operating like a well-oiled machine. And even defense, for the most part, folks. You have Sweat, who is coming off of the edge, who is an absolute masterpiece with the Chicago Bears last year. Not a lot of people were talking about it because the Bears weren't so really a threat in 2023. You have one of the best corners in the entire league with Jalen Johnson. Still have Tremaine Edmonds at that linebacker core. So there's so many pieces on this defense where I think they're also going to be a solid asset for the Chicago Bears team. Top to bottom, I really like what this squad is putting together. Some people might say it's coaching with Eberflus, but you have to remember that the Chicago Bears ended up going on an absolute run toward the back half of the season where they put things together with Justin Fields, might I say. So I have the Chicago Bears finishing 12-5, first seed in the NFC North, and the third overall seed in the playoffs. So folks, do me a favor, sound off in the comments, let me know your thoughts on this. Like I said, I have the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers representing the NFC in the playoffs this year. I'm not going to predict who gets the furthest because I have to see how all of these injuries turn out. And another thing, all of these record predictions are with the false notion in the back of my head that every single person on all of these rosters is going to stay healthy at 100% power all year, which is obviously unrealistic. Now, however, say for example that these guys stay relatively healthy, this is likely how I can imagine this division ending. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Dan Mitchell Predicts every single NFL division correctly. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, I will see you tomorrow.